What's going on, guys? This is Yacineygo, and today we're going to be going over the best decks of the current format, post ban list, post this weird emergency list that barely changed anything. I mean, it's still appreciated. There's slightly less floodgates running around, but there's still too many floodgates for my liking. But yeah, before we go any further, as always, you know the drill. Smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep existing. And let's get right into it. So the first deck is Radiant Typhoon. Honestly, this deck has been hyped a lot ever since it came out, and it never really did anything, so it's really hard for me to justify this deck being a deck that could even day 2 a YCS easily. That's already really difficult for a deck like this to achieve, so even though it's a deck with potential, it's a deck that is great in Genesis, or at least the engine is fantastic. Some of the cards individually are amazing. As a deck itself, I really don't see this deck just doing good enough. So yeah, for me, just an uphill battle. Mermail is a deck that can day 2, and it has a couple of nice interactions against certain decks, but Herald of the Arclight is still a thing. That card should have gone banned. If Herald would have gone banned, I think this deck could have been like top 16 to top 32 potential, but yeah, bro, a Macrocosmos that just banishes your cards, especially when some of your cards they have to pitch from the hand or deck to the graveyard as cost, it just means that you can't even legally activate those cards, and you can't just do anything at all. Like, you can't even try to use an Neptibus's effect. So yeah, it is a little rough for Mermail as long as Herald is a thing. And also, like, this deck just interacts really poorly into, like, Cookie Bounce 2 and stuff. I don't know, like, the whole Yummy matchup in general is just really tough for Mermail. And there's Mitsurugi. I think this deck is just not good enough to win a YCS. But it is a deck that is just, like, good enough to get top 8. The ceiling level of this deck is remarkably low. Like, very, 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 very low. And it kind of has, like, consistency issues. But the floor of the deck is insanely high. So, like, you're never really doing nothing at all, and you don't need to do that. You don't need to perform a lot of actions to do significant things. Like, it's really just you activate Mitsurugi Ritual, and then you just sit back and relax, and then you see, like, the magic happen in front of you. And that's the beauty about this deck. This is what I love so much about this, Despia, Lunalight. You know, you activate a spell card. You know, the green cards are looking nice right now. Spell cards, you activate one of them, and then so much happens. Like, you start chain blocking, use a card that just breaks your opponent's boards, that gets stuff going for you. It's pretty nice. So yeah, Mitsurugi is a great deck for sure, but I think like, pure Mitsurugi just doesn't have, like, that edge that a lot of the hardcore combo decks like Yummy Mitsurugi do. So yeah, it's just not a deck that can really win a YCS to me, at least. The DDD deck is a deck that could theoretically get top 32, but Fua just wipes the floor with it. And also, this deck doesn't really feel like it has, honestly, a huge edge over, like, any other top tier deck, because it loses to both hand traps and board breakers, I guess you can say. Like, Droll really isn't bad. Fua is, like, devastating for this deck, and, like, you still lose the board breakers, so I don't know. Like, Dark Ruler obviously doesn't do much, because Siegfried can negate it, since you can chain, like, Eternal Darkness or something. Well, maybe not Eternal Darkness, but, like, whatever. You can chain, like, any, you know, face down spell or trap, and then chain Siegfried to it. Like, you can super poly away the board, and then you lose, right? Pure K9. This deck kind of sucks, honestly. I don't like it at all. I really don't. There's so many bad cards in it. It's really not that consistent. I think it's a very overhyped deck, but it's still playable. It's a deck that can D2, but it's gonna be super tough for you to get top 16 or top 32 at a YCS with pure K9. Again, like, you still have to play the rank of magic bricks. You gotta play, like, weird ratios of some K9 cards, like multiple lanterns. Yeah, and also, like, the ceiling level of, like, the rank 5s really isn't that impressive. And you still lose the board breakers. So you lose to all kinds of cards that people are playing. You also lose to Pearlia super, super hard. Literally every single K9 except for Lupus summons itself back from the hand. I mean, even Lupus summons itself from the hand if you draw it. Anyways, Malice. I think this is a deck that can get top 8. Without a shadow of a doubt, actually. It plays Dominus Impulse, which is an unfair card. Droll has been seeing way more play recently because of Mitsurugi cards, and this deck, obviously, it just punishes you for playing Droll in the first place. So that's a good thing about Malice. I think one drawback for this deck is that D-Bear is now banned, which means that one of the main floodgates that people were citing is now completely, you know, irrelevant, and this deck really capitalized off of people having irrelevant cards against it. So if people start playing other cards that are actually good against it, so maybe like the Solemns and stuff like that, it could be a little trickier for Malice, because now people are going to have real side deck cards against you. But even then, like, this deck does have some breaking issues, which is a little frustrating. Sometimes you break on too many hand traps or engine cards that don't really work with each other. It could definitely happen. So yeah, I still think it's a good deck for sure, though. Top 8. White Forest. this deck would barely get like one top 32 and that's it, that's all. I think it's a little too good to be here, but not good enough to be anywhere above, so I'm probably gonna keep it at the very bottom. It's a deck that, honestly, if it pops off and you don't draw the right cards against it, you can... This deck will cook you. And it doesn't really lose that hard to Fua. Ironically, it loses harder to Perolia, because every White Forest monster summons itself from the hand, so that is tough. And Drool can be annoying for this deck, but you can also kind of play through Drool to some degree. But it does have an issue where you don't play enough non-engine cards, and that can be a little frustrating for White Forest players. But there's also, like, I don't know, like, the ceiling level of the deck going second, it's, like, good and bad at the same time. It depends on what deck you're playing. So, yeah, it's an okay deck. Despia, I think this deck is better than White Forest. I think this deck just keeps getting better and better. The new support is really nice. It's just a matter of time before this deck will become, like, top tier again, honestly. It's looking really good. Either as a deck or as an engine, I genuinely do believe in Despia's chances at a YCS. Fire King, yeah, this deck is, like... either between like day 2 or like uphill battle, really. It's like a rogue deck. It's a fan favorite. It's really cool and it's fun, but it's not really good. And also the balance didn't really change anything. Like, it's not like the deck was playing the Fire Bearer statue and then revive back with Promethean Princess. Even though you could go for Garunix, destroy the baby Kirin, and then send the Fire Bearer statue from deck to grave and then revive back, but nobody was doing that. Orchest. This deck is okay-ish. It is actually very consistent if you want to play like K9 Orchest, and then you can also search Clockwork Knight. It's very similar to K9 Crystron, but kind of worse. It's not bad though. I'll probably place it like above pure K9. Sky Striker. I think this is actually a very interesting deck, and it keeps getting like some weird tops every now and then. Usually it's the Boardbreaker build that does well, not the Handshot version. And the Boardbreaker build was kind of unplayable when too many board breakers were around, but now K9 Crystron, it can't Mjolnir lock anymore, but it can spell cancel or lock you. And this deck plays like 36 spells or something ridiculous, so it's not like it's necessarily a good thing for you. So it's not like I can't really see Sky Striker having like a huge boost from this ban list. Really, nothing has changed. And if people are not going Proto Skull Dark, they're going a Shadow Skull Machine, and that still kind of cooks you. Like, you can't summon any of your Link monsters. If anything, you can argue that his Shadows is way more rough for yeah, for this deck than Protoss, so yeah, keep that in mind. Memento, this deck can definitely top a YCS for sure. Top 16, top 32. Top 8, I don't know, because there is not enough like not enough non-engine that you can play, so going second, you are at the mercy of what your opponent's deck is. And if your opponent if your opponent plays like Lunalite, for example, you're playing 0 handshaps usually in a deck like this, or you're playing Chummies to draw into board breakers, and your board breakers are not going to do anything against Liger Dancer. So if your opponent has like double Liger Dancer, Baguska, Silverhound, SP, it's a wrap. There is no way you're beating all of that. Like, you can out one Liger Dancer, no problem, but you can't out double Liger Dancer with a Baguska. That's too much. So yeah, Memento might be a little like not super ideal right now, but it's a good deck. Gem Knight, man, this deck got a huge nerf because it's a good going second deck. But going first, like, it kind of relied on the Mjolnir lock to do anything oppressive. So now if you make the deck go first, it's a little shittier. You can still Shadow Slug people, which is nice. So honestly, I think it's probably going to be there. It's not bad at all. Blue Eyes. Yeah, I don't think this deck can top a YCS easily. I think it's pretty rough for Blue Eyes. But it topped YCS Sao Paulo. I think it got top 8. But I think it might have been a fluke, honestly. I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon. Vanquish Soul, another RNG based deck. If it's your day, it's your day. If it's your day, like, you can win a YCS, realistically. You can kind of say the same about any deck here, because these decks don't suck. It's just that they require a lot of luck to do well, or like someone with an IQ of infinite billion to figure them out. But if you're playing one of these decks like standard, against like these decks standard, usually like 51+% of the time these decks are winning. That's the reason why these decks are ranked lower. Odeon, I think this deck is pretty not good. I don't know the exact positioning. Maybe here. Maybe it's better than Fire King and that's it. Oh, yo, Blue Eyes. Yo, Blue Eyes should be down here too, honestly. Yeah. Crystron, my friend. I don't think this deck can get top 8 super easily. It's not a bad deck. Okay, the reason why this deck got worse because of like the most recent ban list is not because Mjolnir got banned. It's not because Inclusion got limited. It's because Paradise Smasher got banned. Like, that was one of the main reasons why Crystron was so good. And the thing is, Crystron got crippled with Paradise Smasher getting banned, but then Yummy didn't get nerfed at all. Like, Obedience School going from 3 to 1 is the exact same thing as Obedience School going from, like, 3 to 3, because they're not even, like, the best Yummy deck is not even playing Obedience School. It's Yummy Mitsurugi, so it doesn't matter, you know? Like, they're just ignoring completely whatever happens on the ban list. And for Crystron, unfortunately, they can't ignore it. You know, like, they have to play worst options every single time. No Paradise Smasher, no Mjolnir, so now it's Spell Canceller, or it's like Silhouette Rabbit into Apophis. Again, the deck is still playable, for sure. That's the reason why it's in top 16 to top 32. But good luck getting top 8 at a YCS with Crystron. It's an uphill battle. Like, honestly, even I would just not really feel comfortable playing this deck right now. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad deck. It's still good. Dragon Tail, I think this deck can get top 8, and winning the YCS could happen because it just won YCS Sao Paulo. But again, I don't really think it's gonna happen again easily. This deck just doesn't really have enough ceiling. Like, it can get demolished by hardcore combo decks. Like, Yummy Mitsurugi, I see that deck destroying Dragon Tail any day of the week, honestly. Lunalight, this deck has a lot going for it. It can either top 8 or even win a YCS. I think it's a really good deck. It just has, like, a really high ceiling. Not a lot of people can really out Liger Dancer easily. And a lot of people were kind of hyping Lunalight at the very start of the last format, and then at the very end, they started downgrading it because people started playing, you know, Zilithorn and Gorgion and stuff like that. But honestly, it doesn't change shit. Like, you can't Protoss people, but you can just Shadows them, so it doesn't really change anything to your game plan. But now you're no longer getting D-Bared with when you're playing Lunalight, and that matters. That matters for this deck, and it also matters for Pure Mitsurugi, because Pure Mitsurugi, like, it also kind of got downgraded in the sense where it can't search Fossil Dyna or the Earthbearer statue to kind of cheese some wins, but then again, it can Banshee into Flag into Shadows, so, like, we're back to square one, you know? Like, Konami should have banished Shadows, like, that's ridiculous. Like, I keep repeating myself, but it's because it's the only thing I really have to say, honestly. It's just that simple. Anyways, Raziel. No more hand looping, no more Protoss locking. Doesn't matter, you can still Shadows. How many decks in here can do that? It's ridiculous. I think this deck can easily get top 32. I think the positioning doesn't really matter that much, but I'm probably gonna place it here. I think that's fine. Automat Raziel, Raziel Mitsurugi. To me, it's kind of like the same shit. So, yeah. There's not like a massive difference. You can argue Automat Raziel is more consistent. Raziel Mitsurugi is less consistent, but more explosive. Or maybe, like, you play more non-engine in Automat Raziel. Maybe that's what it is. That's what it is. These two decks are kind of, like, almost the same. So, the way I see it is this is either Yummy Sulfa Cord or Yummy Mitsurugi Sulfa Cord. And this is either Pure Yummy or Yummy Mitsurugi. So with or without the Sulfa Cords, and with or without the Mitsurugis, really. The difference between any of these versions is not super big. It's not too noticeable because both of these decks are top tier decks. Both of these decks are decks that I can expect win a YCS. And both of these decks play the Yummy engine, because the Yummy engine right now is, it's not that it's tier 0, but in terms of like power level, in terms of like conversion rate, it's dangerously close to being undeniably the best engine this game has seen in a hot minute, and I just think that Herald of the Arclight really should have gone banned, because this is what happens when you nerf every other deck except for one of the most oppressive synchros in the game, and that synchro has been an issue for quite a while, you know. It's an Omni Negate that searches a ritual monster, and it's also a Macrocosmos kind of on the field, so it does like 3 disgusting things. It's not too difficult to summon, and you can summon it multiple times in a turn. Like, you can Sorrowcat whatever, shuffle it back, and then synchro summon it again. That's so ridiculous. Like, you're summoning it in the extra monster zone to link it off into Gravity Controller just to search Habakiri, and then you're Mitsurugi comboing, you're searching an Omni Negate in the form of Great Purification, you're getting a Regeki in the form of Murakumo with Mitsurugi Prayers, and then you're making the Herald again, and you're doing all the Yummy interruptions at the same time. So you can easily make like 9 disruptions in Yummy Mitsurugi, especially in the Sofa Court version. That one is nasty. You can also end on like Kulia with even like the not the Cutia, the Solfigia in the scale, so that even if you get hit by Dark Ruler, Solfigia can negate a monster effect. It's kind of like a Raziel Cross. It's a continuous effect. So it'll negate it at the resolution. This deck is just so freaking scary, such a high ceiling. It doesn't lose to Mochimi Meows, which a lot of people are main decking right now, which is kind of shocking because Meows really kind of sucks. It's just that there's not enough good hand traps to play. And when you're playing a 60 card build, or anything over 40, you have to start playing dog shit cards in your deck in order to accommodate. So, you know, that's something that can happen. One thing I will say is that the most recent ban list kind of felt like it made board breakers better by banning some of the floodgates, but I disagree. I don't think board breakers are good, or at least good enough. I think this is still going to be a handshot format. Nothing is really going to change realistically. The only thing that is seriously big from the ban list, and I made a video on this yesterday, by the way, you can check it out, and you should check it out if you haven't already. It's a really good one. Goes over like all the tags that people are going to be playing instead of like the older cards that got banned. But yeah, Dimensional Bearer is like the main oppressive card that got banned, because everything else, there's kind of like a replacement for it. Like I said, instead of Protos, there's a Shadows. Instead of Mjolnir, there's Spell Canceller. Instead of like the Bearer statues, you're just gonna make Banshee instead of making Gallant Granite. So we're gonna be searching Flag into his Shadows. So there's always like an alternative for everything, but there's not a great alternative for Dimensional Barrier. So if your deck lost the Dimensional Barrier before, it's gonna get better now. So that's the reason why Dragon Tail, it got a buff, and then Pure Mitsurugi, it got a buff, and then Lunite got a buff. Because if you called Fusion, or Ritual against these decks, they were scooping going second literally every single time. But now there's less cards like that are just insta-win. There's still cards like Different Dimension Ground that are good, but I really doubt that people are going to be citing Different Dimension Ground, because it is really bad against Yami Mitsurugi. Like, it completely sucks. You are getting OTK'd through Different Dimension Ground very easily. It's not hard for the deck to kill you, and the deck has a very powerful engine, and just a combination of engines that are very resilient and very powerful, even going second. Like Yami, I guess going second maybe not as good, but Mitsurugi cards, they bait a lot on their own, and there's a lot of like fake boards that people do that just don't interact with Murakumo wiping everything. Like if you end on like a Ripper with a quick play spell, with like Izuna in a hand or something, and like another rank 5, you just go activate Mitsurugi Ritual, summon Murakumo, destroy everything. You don't have a negation for a monster on the field, so your monsters still die. Your rank up magic doesn't do anything. You see how Murakumo just gets rid of everything, and then, you know, after that, you just go normal summon Cups the effect, and then OTK. That's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know if you think I've missed anything, or if you think there's a deck that is potentially even better. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.